The third category I'd like to talk to you about in finding a good pre-owned piano, this actually breaks down into 5 things I'm going to talk to you about. The first one of which is climate. Climate is huge with a piano. A lot of people, I'd say a majority, don't realize that dry heat, too much humidity in the summer are both enemies of a piano. And they do crazy things to pianos. They can ruin a piano. And so that's why it's important you have a professional check it out. I'm holding a pin block. This pin block goes in, not this piano here, it went in a baby grand piano, that's why it's shaped like this. Basically, your tuning pins go into here. Now this was all covered up by the harp, the cast iron harp of the piano that we took it out of. Here's the underneath. This is the only part you could see when you take out the keyboard action. But up underneath here is where the damage was all done. You probably can't see it from there. This has fine cracks throughout it. This is the bass, this is the middle, this is the treble. The dark color showed that someone had put in a chemical treatment to tighten up the wood, because basically climate, dry heat makes the holes that tuning pins go into oblong, and then they slip. They don't hold their position. And that's a major job to get fixed. I mean, it can be thousands of dollars. If you're talking a new pin block like this in a grand piano, $3,500 without new strings. So it just gives you an idea that it's important to know what you're getting. Now again, no technician can check this visually. Too much work, you have to take all the strings off. But we can check by checking the tuning pin tightness, how loose they are, how tight they are. We'll know if it'll hold tune or not. And that also important factors into this is the time of the year. Because the end of the summer, everything is at their tightest because it swells. In the middle of the winter, they're at their loosest because they shrink. And that's why doors stick in the summer, etc. So this is a pin block. This went to a grand piano, but because it had slipping pins from dry heat, they put in a solution which works temporarily for 5 or 10 years, and then after that you can't do it anymore, and it needs a new block, which is very costly. So that's the first thing I want to talk to you about is climate. Second category, underneath looking for pre-owned pianos online, again, you don't know what you're getting. You want a professional technician to go and evaluate it, preferably one that restores pianos and not just tunes, because they will be able to check more than your average technician that just tunes pianos. But the next category under this would be wear and tear. Now you say wear and tear, that's a big deal. For example, this piano here that I showed you a moment ago is 29 years old and it was almost never played. We sold it new, and they didn't tune it in many, many years in between because it was never played. And so when I purchased it back, you basically have a brand new piano. So you have this extreme, and then you have other extremes, such as a piano maybe the same age, that I don't have in our workshop right now, would be, for example, a person that plays a piano 6 hours a day. You say, really? Yeah, really. Some do. Or a school or a college. I'm talking about wear and tear. I'm talking about in a college setting or a school setting, a piano in 10 years can be shot. A piano in 10 years can have more wear and tear on it than a piano that's 70 years old, because they just play it, especially in a college or a school setting, they play it all the time. And then in those settings, at least in public school settings, the climate is extreme. On the weekends, it goes up. If it's summertime, they save money. And then wintertime, it goes down to save money in the weekends. And so all these moves in the temperature, climate, play havoc on a piano, not just the tuning, but there's so many wooden parts in a piano. So wear and tear is big. I'm just going to pull up a key. Again, this piano is 29 years old, but it's brand new, really, because it's never played. You have bushings here and bushings here with a pin at each place. And so if a person plays a piano a lot, like in an institution, or plays in their home 6 hours a day, this is tight. But if they play a lot, you wiggle them and they click and they clack, and just to reboost the keys that I just showed you would cost about $400 to give you an idea. And so same way with the hammers, that's these. Piano's been played all the time, has deep grooves in the hammers, and many other things that are worn. So I guess what I'm saying is buyer beware of a piano that not only maybe it looks like it's been through everything outside, but inside maybe it's not that bad. But you need a true professional technician to guide you. Thank you. The third thing about finding a pre-owned piano online, again using a technician to keep you safe from making a bad decision, would be pest control. You say pest? Yes. The most number one probably thing we see as a technician in Maryland, and we tune 4 states, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Virginia, West Virginia, would be mice. Mice get into a piano and they chew off these bridle straps. If they're really hungry, for example, if they've been in a little church out in the country that was not used much, I have seen them eat right through a wooden key. More often than not, you see where they gnawed on the keys and the sections they can get to. So pests, and then beyond that, they urinate on everything, and so the metal deteriorates. You have a lot of springs inside of there's the action. You have 88 hammer springs. You have 88 jack springs. These help return the keys. Well, once they get sprayed on, they can break. Same way if they urinate on the strings, which they do, mice do, a string will pop when it wouldn't ordinarily pop. So all I'm saying is I have seen one piano in Pennsylvania that was the most severe case. It was a Charles Walter, which is a high-end piano. Today they sell for $18,000. And I guess it's 10 years ago, the customer never did the work. They were just too broken-hearted and cost too much. Their children went to college. They had a new home, but they were near a field. And people think, customers feel like, wow, I don't have mice in my home. Well, you better be careful. They find ways into pianos. They come in under the back wheels. They come in up underneath the bottom board. They have ways to get in, and they love pianos. And you see their dirt droppings all over the place. And then, of course, the things I described to you. So, but that particular piano needed $2,700 worth of work because the children went to college and they had a playground to play in. No one was playing the piano. Unoccupied. That's the reason you should keep a piano tuned. An unoccupied piano sitting vacant leads to trouble. Another one of the horror stories I have would be termites. I had one piano, just one, in 46 years, where termites got into it, and we had to burn the piano, and it broke the customer's heart. They had made payments on that piano, and but termites had got into it. Another thing that happens with pests, that I used to, in my early years, I'd see moth damage, and then I didn't see a lot for a while. But now I'm seeing moth damage again. It was just a month ago I had one I did an estimate on, and it was just full of moth. I saw the keyboard was all cockeyed because the felts under the keys were eaten out, and they eat holes in your hammer. They do all kinds of stuff. So I say all that to say that's why you should have it checked by a professional, because pests can do a real number. Thank you. Back to online pianos. This would be my last category. I'm putting two together. I'm putting smoke damage or water damage together in this one. You say, what? Well, that's right. There are pianos that are out there that have been in fires. There are pianos out there that have been through water damage, weather floods, that again, only a professional can find the damage. To the naked eye, you can't see that type of thing. Now this particular piano here is just 18 years old. It's a Chickering Grand from down in Potomac. It's a customer. We do restoration work for several companies, from ServPro to Paul Davis Restoration to Frederick Fire and Flood, to give you an idea. And these types of pianos we don't sell. These come to us when they've had a fire or smoke damage, or when they've had water damage, and we're called because the customer wants their piano. They're priceless. They want their piano fixed if at all possible by the insurance. But the reason I'm bringing this all into it, there are pianos out there beyond what I just said, where when customers don't know what they're looking for, they would go right by smoke damage. They would go right by water damage and be stuck with a lemon because they were never restored or shouldn't be restored, but you can't tell from the outside. Now this particular one is not ours. Again, we do these for customers. This is an awesome piano. This was in a fire, as I said, in Potomac, on the third floor of 4 floors of a condominium. And basically, this did not get fire damage. They got the fire out thanks to the sprinkler system of a brand new condominium. It saved all the other condos in the row, except one with damage next to them, because of the sprinkler system. Well, the problem that created was it still looked good from a distance. And I'm going to hold this piece up. I don't know if you can see the water spots. This is one of the pieces of the piano. Basically, when the water sprinkler system put out the fire all through the house, you can imagine the piano was opened up, and inside the strings were hit by the water, which rusts the strings. The hammers were hit by the water, which makes them hard. Right to my right and your left here are the hammers to this piano. We're putting brand new hammers on it because these were hit by the sprinkler system. That alone is a $2,300 job just for the hammers, to give you an idea. That affects the tone. So right now we're getting ready to restring it. We've cleaned it all out. We've not cleaned the cabinet yet. It still's got these little watermarks. We'll do that. But you know, all in all, this piano will cost, you know, $10,000 till we're done, and it'll play just like it when it was new. But the reason I tell you these stories is, without a professional checking out a piano, you do not know what you're getting. You don't know what to look for. There's telltale signs that I know to look for when I evaluate a piano. So again, all the more reason you should probably consider reviews and a reputable store that has a reputation to back that up, that has integrity. And yeah, you would pay a lot more than you pay online, because online you're getting a piano that's never been overhauled. Usually you're getting one, quite honestly, in many cases with an online piano, the piano's not been played in 30 years. And so you get a piano in your home, and the first thing I tell the customer is, well, it has sticking keys maybe, that's going to be a couple $100, and then it's going to need maybe 4 tunings, and that's hundreds of dollars. And that could lead to string breakage because you're tightening strings that have been let go for a long period of time. And that happens, is off the top of my head, but let's just say if you're looking at Craigslist, for example, we move pianos all the time from Craigslist for customers, and we're glad to. But what I don't feel good about is when they don't pay a professional to come in and evaluate. I take it to their home, they pay us to move it, then they say, how did we do? And I start naming things that the piano needs, and they look at me like, well, we got it for free. Why should we have to pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars to fix it? And so this is just to save you some bad moments by taking the right steps. Thank you.